Today is a good day because it's time for another non-stop action-packed thriller tutorial provided to you by AE Tuts Plus. If it was AE Tuts Minus, I don't think that we'd be here. I know I wouldn't, but it is Tuts Plus, so I think we're safe. Or it's Toots Plus, depending on how you look at it. It's your call. My name's Adam Everett Miller, and I hope you guys brought your goggles and snorkel because today we're going to be getting a little wet. Here's what we're going to do. Okay, I probably should have cut that off and not kept going for like 30 minutes. But basically what we got going on here is it's a simulation. It almost looks like maybe there's like a swimming pool full of paint, like purple paint. And, you know, someone just stuck their foot in way up over here and it was causing ripples that then came and somehow protruding from the bottom were the letters AE Tuts Plus. And they're kind of sort of creating a displacement that the purple paint is then pouring over. You know, that's kind of how it looks. What this is, okay, well, let's just get started. How would we start this? Let's create a new composition, popular place to begin, you know, here in After Effects. And we can choose D1 widescreen pixels, good. And 30 seconds was the duration if you didn't catch it. Creating a new solid, another popular choice when beginning a project or whatever. Red, good color. Let's just do this. If you were to go, okay, you want to create a ripple, I'd probably type ripple, and I see CC ripple pulse, and I just see ripple. Well, I'm just going to keep things simple, and I'm going to apply that right there. Well, I'm not seeing anything go on. If you apply ripple to footage, it'll do something. But basically, let's actually cause a little bit of, let's add a ramp really quickly, and drag that behind. And now we should see, well, hold on one moment. We need to actually increase the radius of the ripple a little bit. And let's make that radial and do this. I'm just showing you the other, oops, sorry. The other way to create a ripple would be to potentially do something along these lines. And, you know, you can increase the width of it. You can increase the phase. What else do we want to do? Let's make it symmetrical. And, okay, so this is one way to do a ripple, is just to apply the generic ripple, you know, thing over here, preset effect. But that's not what we're going to be doing today. Today we are getting rid of all this simple stuff, and we're going to be delving into the world of Wave World. Not Wave Warp, Wave World. Let's pop that on. Alrighty. Well, we start off and we see some grids, which is a good thing to see, and it's kind of confusing. We're seeing a ripple, but this is not anything close to the ripple that we had when we actually applied the effect ripple. We're having like a cross-section of a ripple, which is pretty weird. Well, what this is going to be a working view. And what we're going to do is switch over under view, switch over to height map. This is going to show us, okay, there we go. That's the view I was looking for. Without even creating a ramp or anything, we already have a pretty nice little ripple going on here. And switching back over to the wireframe preview, I'm just going to kind of go through this just to give you guys a brief rundown of what this effect is all about, okay? I'm going to give you 10 guesses, okay? Which of these 4 layers is the water surface? No, not the blue one on top. You were right. It is the white one in the middle. And this is the surface of the water, and as you see, as if something is generating some kind of a pulsy ripple, that is what is being distorted, right? So first off, our first little drop down we have is, these are all just our controls. This can't be controlled by a camera in the comp or anything. You have to kind of do everything manual. It's a little bit tedious, but you can rotate, work around. It's all going to be centered around the center pivot point here. You can't adjust that at all. And you can also rotate this way. And this little guy is going to come in handy in a little bit. And then vertical scale, that's just how proportionate it's all going to be. Cool, first one down. Let's move to the next one. Height control maps. Okay, well, I'm going to switch over to the height map for a second. Brightness and contrast. You can make it brighter or you can make it darker. That makes sense, right? And then contrast, you can make it more or less contrasty. But let's switch over here and take a look just to give you an idea of what's happening. Brightness. Picture this top guy. Let me go back and reset the view a little bit more here. This top white guy here, oops, this is the one I want to reset. Okay, I'm sorry. The top square is white. okay? The bottom square is black, not the bottom, but this other square is black, okay? And the ripple is almost, it's generating a, almost a map of proportion. This is kind of, it's almost like levels, except the high points are brighter and the darker points down here are darker. And so as it ripples, those that are up high, so right now you can see that the center is kind of dipping low. As we switch over here into the height map, we can see that the center is darker than the outside, right? And as we move over to white being really bright, then we switch over to height map and we can see that there it is, really high. So what this is, as we go from brightness and contrast, let's increase the brightness. What that's going to do is push everything down. And let's just rotate a little bit here so we can see. Anything that is above, okay, work with me, there you go. Anything that is above this plane is going to be cut off. It's going to be clipped at 100% white, pure white. Typically, when you're dealing with luminance, like grayscale valued generators, you're going to want to keep everything between 0 and 100%. You know, unless you're dealing with raw in Photoshop or something like that. You want to be dealing with grayscale from 1 to 100%. This right now it's over 100% white. So when we switch over to height map, this is, as you can see here, white. But there's no detail from here to here. It's white. So you don't have a curve, you don't have anything, and the curves and the value, kind of ramping, creating that gradient, that's what is going to create the effect. So when we clip in the white here, that's something we're going to want to avoid. Switching back over to the view, let's reset the brightness. Obviously then if we decrease it, it's going to go further away. And if we go to contrast, what that does is, okay, if we want to increase the contrast, we can bring those guys closer together. And then we separate them more, and that's going to bring, you know, make the extreme ends, the 100% white and 100% black, farther apart, right? So we're going to reset that as well. Gamma adjustment, don't worry about that. That's not important. Okay, so we're getting a pretty decent little feel for this effect. Okay, the next one, moving down, simulation. By default, it's at 40 right now. This is a decently large. I mean, what you're looking at right now might look more like this, where it's really stair-steppy. You can, what it does is it's kind of, you can see here, I guess, if I zoom in a little bit more, it's kind of creates some pixelation or whatever. The grid isn't that crystal clear, and that can be seen when we're over here. If you decrease this down, you can see the quality is kind of squared off a little bit. It's not 100% perfect round. But if you increase the grid resolution, it's going to make it a lot clearer. And what that's doing is, switching back over, it's going to take it from being more, you know, line based, and you're just increasing the resolution of it. So you have a much more realistic, very pure looking wave, which looks pretty stinking sweet to me. Look at that dip down. Wave speed is the, you know, the speed in which the wave is moving. Dampening, that's kind of like if it slows it down. I mean, this stuff isn't that important. Well, let's get, we're talking quite a bit, but you actually want to see something here. So let's move to ground. Here's what the ground is. The ground is this bottom guy. We're going to come back to that in a second, because this is what makes this little effect pretty cool. So remind me about ground in a couple seconds. Lastly, producer. Switching over to the height map. Producer, just like where you control the center, you know, you pick where it's going to be, and you can drag this little center around, right? And we got type. You can do ring or line. Just stay with ring, probably. I don't know. And then the height and length, you can make it longer, or you can make it wider if you want to have a really wide, you know, almost, well, this is what we're going to be doing, is creating more of a sheet of ripple rather than a pinpoint of ripple. You can also bring them down to like next to nothing, and you know, have the ripple coming out of like a really fine point as well, as it gets really narrow there. And that's just going to be, that's too small. Nobody wants to deal with a ripple that small. Let's reset these guys. Okay. And amplitude, frequency, that's just, you know, dictating what the pulse is going to look like, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to take the width and we're going to crank it out. Okay. And I'm just going to let it think. I'm going to switch this over to half just so that it's going to be a little bit faster. We're going to take the width and really make it wide. So now as it pulses out, it's going to be pulsing out like that. Take the producer and bring it right up here, or position rather. And so now it's just going to be producing down, okay? And from there, let's take a look and see what this looks like on this end. Let's do a little rotation here. And now we can see that we have a nice little sideways ripple, okay? Let's just go down to the amplitude and we can boost this guy up a little bit. Okay, and that will make it a little bit more extreme. So then switching it back to height map, we can see that the contrast is a little bit better, right? Okay. What we're going to be doing is with the ground, backing it all the way up here, we can create a ground layer that is going to affect the way that the waves move, okay? So right now it's a flat grid. If waves go out, if there's a rock, that's the same thing as like when you go whitewater rafting. What makes the white water? What makes the turbulence? It's rocks underneath. It's the water moving along, hitting a rock, and that pushing it up or affecting the surface. You may not see what's on the bottom, but what's affecting it is the rock, and that will affect the top part. So what we're going to do is I've just created a bump. Let me drag in the bump. Okay, and so I just have this general bump right here, okay? Let's turn it off for the time being, and I'm going to set my ground layer. What is my ground? My ground is going to be set to bump. Okay, well look at what that just did. That just created remember how it was blurred here? I can turn it back on just so you can see it. It's blurred on the edges, and so it's going to be an even increase to lift that up. And so when we go back over, we got that now. Now let's switch to the, I'm sorry, wrong side. Let's switch to the height map, and we can see that as it moves, it's going to be slowing it down. We'll do a quick little preview of it, and it's affecting where the wave is going. Pretty cool, right? Okay, well let's take it one step further. Well, no. Yeah, should we? I don't know. Yeah, let's take it one step further. And I'm just deciding which part to whip out first. But let's take it one step further because we're going to be creating a map that it's a luminance map that we will then apply the other filter to. So what I've done is also created another one called words. We'll pop that in and take a look at it. Okay, well, what the elements of words, I'll bring up words here. Words is white, not fully white, because fully white is going to be peaking, but 80% white. I brought in the words AE tuts, and I applied a little bit of a ramp, and just from gray to black. And so then as we come over here to look at it, let's come and set it from bump now down to words. Let's take sorry, I'll turn it on. Let's take a look at what we're dealing with here. Now we have, notice how there's a ramp going from that all the way down to black, and the ground is now a ramp, and the words are protruding slightly from in the water. Look at that. Notice how it's peaking there. It's hitting the top. So then let's look over and see how that's looking from the top. Okay. We have them over there. Let's take them down just a hair so they're not. Okay, height, steepness, ground. Let's bring it down just a little bit. Okay, right. Oops, a little less, maybe 0.225. Okay. Then as we go and the waves go over, it's going to affect our water, right? And you see the bounce off and everything. And you can tweak all of these things. You can adjust how high it goes, and you can adjust how much it goes down, it goes up, the height, where it is going to be, where the ground level is going to be. These are all things that you can play around and tweak with. I've already done most of that here in this composition. And so you can play with that accordingly until you get what you're looking for. What I've done is I have it set to 0.25, 0.28, and wave strength 0.37. I don't know which of these is different. And if you want to pause it to directly emulate what I've done, I just want to get through a lot of this, so I'm not going to go through and give you all the exact things, but pause, zoom in, look at all these things, and you can map this to the exact amount if you'd like. And height controls are all these things. There you go. Okay. What I've done is I've created this map. And another thing to keep in mind, remember, simulation, it's going to look a lot cleaner. It might take a little longer to render. It's going to look cleaner. If I was down here at 40 still, it's not going to look that, well, oh, that's another thing to bring in to play. Okay, let's do this really quick. Okay, we increase the grid resolution, right? And you think that that's simply just going to make this look more or less clear. What it actually does is it actually does affect the end result. As we increase the resolution, it's actually increasing the height of the ground. And I don't know what the thing is. I mean, I don't know what the initial intent was, but it's not simply a matter of, oh, it's going to be more or less clear. It actually does affect your output. So when I got started, I actually cranked it right up to, I guess the end thing was 688, but crank it right to what you're going to end with. And that even though the render is going to be a little bit more annoying, you are going to, that's just to keep you from working really hard at like 40, and then it's corrected this level, and then when you bring it back to 688, then you get a totally different result. At 688, this works, but at 40, this doesn't work. So that's something to keep in mind here. So I have the waves coming down. I'm going to bring this down to a third just because it does take a while to render. And as it comes on, it kind of comes over the letters like that. Okay, well that's the first half of it. We need to create this initial mat, okay? The second part 2 of the tutorial, is what we do with this mat that we've created. And that brings us over into comp 2, which is caustics. I'll create a new composition actually. Let's just do that so that you guys can see it from scratch. New composition, same thing, 30, sounds good. And what was the one we used? Was it waves? It was. Let's take waves and drag it, into comp number 5. And so there we have it. And it's gonna render. I probably should have re-rendered this or pre-rendered it rather, to save on time. Actually, let's do that. Let me pre-render really quick just so that our rendering is gonna be, so it's gonna be smooth from here on out. So hold on one second. And I'm gonna drag it in. But in the render time, as I've been sitting here waiting for this thing to render out, looking a lot smoother and a lot pretty stinking cool actually, I'm realizing that I don't quite want to hit this yet. So I'm gonna wait on that for a second. I have over here in comp 3, I have kind of a moving ripple, right? And this is just gonna be a better way to introduce what caustics is gonna be all about. So I'm gonna take this guy, and what is this, comp 3? I'm gonna drag that down here into comp 5. Comp 3 into comp 5, get rid of this guy, and now we have this, okay? I'm gonna create a new solid, and we'll make it red. Went ahead and rendered out this comp 3 as well, just so that I have, a smooth movement now, so I don't have to deal with rendering as well. Thought I'd save a little render time and make this easier to watch. So I'm gonna go ahead and red solid, let's apply caustics, okay? Bam. Okay, not really seeing much. Well, here's what caustic is. Caustics, well, here, let me do this actually. When you're dealing with water in general, caustics, that's a term for water. You have your bottom, you have the water, and you have the sky. And if we come over here to see the water cross section so conveniently created, that's some trees over there and a dock. And you have the ground, right? So like you're standing here on the dock and you're looking down. What the 3 things that you're gonna see are the ground below, the surface of the water, and then what's being reflected, like the sky that is being reflected on the surface, right? So here there could be a ripple that's going to distort the sand below it. It's also going to distort kind of the clouds that you see in the sky, right? So closing that. So what we need to do is tell this, I'm going to rename this caustics really quick. We need to tell it what the water surface is going to be. So let's go to water, and we're going to choose comp 3. So we'll go water, choose 1, comp 3. And now what that's going to do is, look at that. Okay, it's got kind of a bluish tinge. What that is surface opacity. It's making the surface a little bluish. We're just going to take that down to 0. Actually, or we could take it all the way up to 100. Okay, that works too. And then you can see what it's doing. That's starting to look pretty stinking sweet. You know, you start with that, and the caustics almost just adds color. You know, it adds life to it, and you know, makes it look pretty legit. Okay, well then let's take another layer here. Let's bring in. I think I have a texture here. I just have a cement texture. I think I have a better texture. Okay, beach. Here we go. I'll bring that one in. Get rid of that guy. Okay, and I'm gonna scale this down accordingly. Okay, so we have a kind of a beach texture. Okay, turning that off. I will come over, and now I'm gonna set the bottom level. Let's change that to beach texture. Okay, remember my surface is at 100%. What if I take that surface and bring it down? Now I have. Okay, I'll bring it all the way down to 0%. Now it's doing that same effect, but it's looking at what's below it. There's a ground there. If I increase the surface opacity a little bit, I can give it kind of a bluish tinge, right? And really cool. You put like a water bug, or you put a finger or something like that running through the water, and it just creates a beautiful, gorgeous effect. The distortion is so realistic. It's awesome. So play around with that. There's plenty of ideas. You can maybe throw a title animated on there and just have like something splash across or whatever. This is it's a really cool thing, and it comes with After Effects. I know there's a lot of people kind of frustrated that a lot of these things require trap codes plugins, but this is right in. I mean, you can do this in After Effects 6.5 if you have it. These effects are available for pretty much any version. So play with that a little bit. Let's back it up and go back to the words in the sample that I originally had. Let's get rid of these guys. And so now we just have, and I'm actually just going to reapply. I'm just going to reset caustics, okay? And we want to include the, what did I call it? Waves matte, I think that's what it was. Okay, right. So we have that. Well, let's do the same thing and apply it to the waves matte. So now our water surface is going to be waves matte, okay? And moving forward a little bit, we want to get rid of that bluish tinge. And so we're going to make, let's just make that color. Let's make it the purple that I had done in the example. I had used the actual, I think I had taken the AETUTS logo and under caustics chose that exact, okay, so it's that exact shade. And I might have darkened it up, I don't know, but just like that, right off the bat, we have a pretty cool looking thing. Well, what we're gonna do, just to increase some things, the last aspect is, okay, you take sky, I'll bring in that dumb texture again, okay, and we have this texture scaled down. So what sky would do is, then as we are turning that off, we can go in here and sky mode will make that the texture, and there's going to be a reflection of that as well, which would look really good if you had some clouds or something. And it's going to distort it somewhat differently because it's keeping in mind that it's a sky, so it's not going to be as distorted as the ground level below. But I'm going to undo that. And sky, there is no sky, so don't worry about it. What we're going to do, just to make this look a little bit more shiny, a little bit more like paint, we are going to go into lighting, and let's make it a point light. And bring it down a little bit. You can actually use point light, distant light. You can actually use the first comp light. You can actually control the lighting yourself. A lot of options here, but I'm just trying to keep things simple. Let's increase the intensity a little bit, not too much. And let's increase the position and then ambient light, bring that up just a hair. I can adjust these, and then we'll bring this guy down. Oh, maybe right there centered. So now it's got more of a sheen to it. It looks more like it's actually paint that is coming over a surface. Well, that's it, guys. That's the basic premise. I mean, you can see that the options are endless here. I wanted to do a quick overview of the wave world and caustics effects and how they can use each other. Let me do this actually 2 more seconds. I know this is running a little long. What are we currently running at? We're running at probably close to half an hour. I want to show you one more thing. So since this caustics is being generated by black and white, map, let's do something new. Let's go create a new solid, and white's fine. Let's create another one, fractal noise. Okay, I'm gonna take it and let's set the evolution time for here, and let's go forward 6 seconds, and we'll go 5. Okay, so now we have movement, right? Okay, so, and we'll call this one fractal. Okay, so now we have a new black and white map by which to base things off of. So if we apply this, and instead of having it look at the waves map, let's have a look at fractal and see what it creates then. I'm sorry, water surface fractal, bottom none, and let's have it look at, oh, I'm sorry, is it turned off? Does it have to be, oh, here's what I did. You have to pre-compose it, because it's going to be looking at fractal without, it's just going to be looking at this layer without the, obviously there's nothing here, so it's looking at, we need to pre-compose this so that it looks at the layer as is. Does that make sense, kind of? So now it is its own layer, so we go back over into caustics, bring it up, and now we have what we're looking at, because it's actually looking at that layer, not just the pre-affected layer. So this is kind of cool. Just a random shiny weird looking thing, but then we go over into our fractal noise and we can change this around a little bit. If we change some of the settings of this guy, or rather, now we have to go into the fractal comp, and we change some of the settings, we can make it look maybe blocky. That could look interesting. Linear. Let's go with smeary. Okay, this is kind of cool. Kind of a weird bubbly look, and we'll go spline. Okay. Yeah, let's try that out. See how that looks. Okay, now if we apply it, it has much more of a, I don't know, it's just a different look. And then we can increase the contrast maybe a little bit more. And let's play with another one, perhaps maybe cloudy. Nope, not cloudy. Or let's bring it back down. And soft linear. Nope, spline. Sorry, I'm just testing really quick. Dynamic. There we go. That's kind of cool. There, that's bubbly. Sweet. So let's pop that up. And now looking at that, there's a real bubbly looking, very, very organic, evil slime goop that some kind of thing could evolve from. Very, very cool looking. And in real time, it plays back pretty sweet looking. So here are a few of the effects. Here is a few of the tips that you can keep in mind. There's a lot of content here, so obviously you might need to go back and re-look at it, but just wanted to introduce you to Wave World and Caustics. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Adam Everett Miller with AE Tuts Plus. Hope you have a stellar day and enjoy splashing. See you later. Bye.